Hi, I'm Jessica, and my partner is Lindsay, and we did our presentation on Asian American and Arab American stereotypes and intellectual performances. And here is the first slide, which kind of just goes over what I just said. And the first section is who they are. Who are Arab Americans and who are Asian Americans? Who are Arab Americans? Well, they immigrated to the U.S. from the Middle East. They can be from any country in the Middle East. They have a common linguistic and cultural heritage shaped primarily by the two main religions, Islam and Christianity. The population is from 2.5 to 3 million here. Some say 5 million. And the majority of them are Christian at 70% and Muslim at 30%. The father is usually the head of the family. The mother has a responsibility of raising the kids and taking care of the home. Family members, relatives, friends, and neighbors share in taking care of each other's children. And they're very private people, and they don't display their feelings out in the public. They keep it private, and that's really important to them. The women usually dress conservatively. Some dress fully clothed and they don't show their hair or their face like the second picture, and some not as much, but they still stay pretty much covered like the first picture. Arab Americans try to preserve their culture and pass it from one generation to the other, so that's really important. And they retain their cultural identities with language, dress, food, beliefs, and values even after they've lived in the United States for several generations. So it carries on. Asian Americans are immigrants from any Asian country. The 2000 U.S. Census Bureau found that there were over 10 million Asian Americans in the U.S., accounting for 3.61% of the total U.S. population. And the top 6 are Chinese, Filipino, Asian Indian, Vietnamese, Korean, and Japanese. Some statistics, 60.2% are married. The average household size is 3 people. 69% are foreign born. 75.9% came to the U.S. during the last 2 decades. 49% have a bachelor's degree or higher, which is really high. The annual median income is over $59,000, and most live in the western U.S. at about 50%. Section 2 is about stereotypes, and the first is Arab American, and I'll show a little clip from Family Guy. And then I'll show why these aren't true, and then Asian American stereotypes and a clip from Family Guy again, and why these aren't true, and then I'll tie it into some class concept. So the stereotypes are that they're all terrorists, they're all oil rich, they all came from the desert, they're all Islamic extremists, they're all violent people, all the women are subservient to men, and of course they all hate Americans. So next I'll show you this clip from Family Guy that kind of exemplifies a Muslim stereotype.
A job at the airport. Johnny Quest. Okay, welcome aboard. Dr. Benton Quest. All right, have a good flight. Haji. Listen, you've been randomly selected for additional screening, but you didn't even type anything in.
Look, if it were up to me, you'd be right there on that flight.
But, I'm gonna need you to take off your shoes and that lovely, hat.
So now I'm gonna go over why these stereotypes aren't true. And the first is the whole terrorist, extremist, very violent, and, the fact is that most are here to work, and many are actually here to get away from extremists. They're mostly peaceful and have no affiliation with terrorism. Most are not oil rich. Not all Arab countries even produce oil, and very few Arabs are rich from oil. They don't all come from the desert. Most come from cities. There's a range of climates in Arab countries, and some even have mountainous areas with snow. Not all the women are subservient. They range from leaders of matriarchal societies to businesswomen down to extremely repressed. In the United States, their roles are based on their country of origin. They don't all hate Americans. This is extremely overestimated. And most are here because they want to be. They're generally friendly to Americans, and if you've ever met one, you definitely know this. So now, the Asian stereotypes, Asian American stereotypes. First is they're all nerds, they're all good at math and science, they're undesirable male partners, they have bad English speaking skills, there's a China doll image of Asian American women, they're all bad drivers, they all look alike, and they all have martial arts skills. So next is another clip from Family Guy that shows some stereotype of Asian Americans.
I'll be as untouched as the turn signal in an Asian woman's car.
How much signal I need to cut across 8 lanes? None? I turn now. Good luck, everybody else.
So, Family Guy's really good at that, showing stereotypes. So, why these aren't true? The whole nerd thing isn't necessarily true. In fact, their scholastic achievement can be attributed to their strong cultural value of hard work, and there's a lot of emphasis on school, and it's not necessarily natural talent. They aren't undesirable male partners. They have average genitalia size, and they're hard workers, which means they can provide really well for a family. They don't have bad English speaking skills. In fact, more Asian Americans speak English than any other minority. The China doll image is just a media portrayal, and it's not accurate of most Asian women. There's no evidence that they're bad drivers. They're not in more car accidents than any other group. They don't all look alike, but this is commonly perceived because our eyes aren't used to seeing differences in Asian faces. And martial arts skills, that's just a media portrayal, and this isn't statistically accurate either. So these stereotypes are not all necessarily true. I tied in Thorndike's law of effect into this because it talks about prejudice as a positive and negative reinforcement. And that is, white Americans enhance their self-esteem and gain power when they have prejudice against these groups, and they take away discomfort of other ethnicities gaining power and status by putting down these groups. So I feel like this is really definitely at play here in why these stereotypes have been created.